Casey Dutton thought leaving Yellowstone would finally quiet the war inside him. He thought walking away from the ranch meant walking toward peace. But some men don't escape their past. They carry it like a loaded weapon, hidden but always ready to fire. Marshals is not the story of a man starting over. It's the story of a man discovering that the fight follows him wherever he goes. And this time, the enemy isn't just out there in the open plains of Montana. It's inside him. The official trailer for Marshals opens with a feeling that longtime Yellowstone fans will recognize instantly. Silence. Not the peaceful kind, but the heavy kind. The kind that presses on your chest and reminds you that something bad is coming. Casey Dutton stands alone again, older, rougher, and more tired than we have ever seen him. The cowboy hat is still there, the scars too, but the ranch is gone. In its place is a badge, a gun, and a responsibility that feels just as deadly. Casey is no longer fighting for land or legacy. He is fighting for order in a place where chaos never sleeps. Joining an elite unit of U.S. Marshals in Montana sounds like a fresh start on paper, but the trailer makes one thing very clear. This is not freedom, this is another battlefield. Casey isn't chasing glory or justice. He's chasing control over the violence that has shaped his entire life. When Casey talks about finding a new beginning, his voice doesn't sound hopeful. It sounds practiced, like something he has told himself too many times before. His eyes tell a different story. They belong to a man who knows that no matter how far he runs, the past is faster. The trailer quietly suggests that Casey didn't choose this life because he wanted it. He chose it because it was the only thing he knows how to survive. What makes Marshals instantly gripping is how it reframes Casey Dutton. In Yellowstone, he was always torn between who he was and who he needed to be. Here, that conflict becomes the entire foundation of the show. As a marshal, Casey becomes the last line of defense in a region where the law often arrives too late. He brings with him the instincts of a cowboy and the precision of a Navy SEAL, but also the emotional damage of a man who has seen too much and lost too much. The trailer hints at the kind of threats this unit will face, and they are not small. Gangs, cartels, violent extremists, and criminals who hide behind the beauty of Montana's wide-open land. This is God's country. But as one chilling line reminds us, the devil is running free. Every case feels personal. Every decision feels like it could cost a life. And for Casey, that weight lands harder than anyone else. There's also a powerful sense of isolation hanging over him. Even surrounded by fellow marshals, Casey feels alone. He listens more than he speaks. He watches instead of reacts. This is a man who has learned that trust can be dangerous. The trailer shows him riding into danger without hesitation, not because he's fearless, but because fear stopped mattering a long time ago. What truly deepens the suspense is what's missing. Monica. Her absence is loud. After Yellowstone ended with the promise of peace for Casey and his family, Marshals quietly takes that promise away. The trailer offers no answers, only questions. Is she gone? Did something break them apart? Or is the show saving its most painful truth for later? Whatever the answer is, it hangs over Casey like a shadow, shaping every choice he makes. Familiar faces like Tate, Thomas Rainwater, and Mo remind us that Casey's connection to the land and its people is far from over. Even without the ranch, Yellowstone still lives inside him. The fight for justice, identity, and belonging has simply changed uniforms. By the end of the trailer's first moments, one thing becomes undeniable. Marshals is not trying to replace Yellowstone. It's trying to evolve it. This is a darker, quieter, and more psychological story. A story about a man who protects others because he doesn't know how to protect himself. And as Casey Dutton steps forward wearing a new badge, the question isn't whether he can survive this job. The real question is whether this job will finally destroy what's left of him. As the trailer continues, Marshals makes it painfully clear that Casey Dutton has not stepped into a calmer world. He has stepped into a quieter one, and that silence is far more dangerous. This is not chaos that explodes loudly like it did on the Yellowstone Ranch. This is controlled violence, organized crime, and threats that move slowly, patiently, waiting for the right moment to strike. And Casey knows this kind of enemy all too well. The tone of the trailer shifts from personal struggle to constant tension. Every look Casey gives, every breath he takes feels measured. He is no longer reacting emotionally the way he once did. Instead, he is calculating, watching, preparing. This tells us something important about where he is mentally. Casey isn't healing. He's hardening, becoming sharper, colder, and more dangerous, because that's what survival has taught him to do. The U.S. Marshals unit he joins is not portrayed as heroic or glamorous. These are not men and women chasing applause or recognition. They are professionals who understand that most of the time, doing the right thing means living with the worst consequences. The trailer hints at the psychological cost of this work, especially for someone like Casey, who already carries years of guilt and trauma. This job doesn't offer closure, it only adds new scars. One of the most striking elements is how the show frames justice. In Marshals, justice is not clean or satisfying. It's messy, it's exhausting, and sometimes it feels pointless. Casey is constantly placed in situations where there is no perfect choice, only the least destructive one. This reinforces the idea that he is not here to save the world. He's here to hold it together long enough so it doesn't completely fall apart. The threats teased in the trailer feel larger and more organized than anything Casey faced before. Criminal networks that stretch across borders, ideologies fueled by hate, violence that hides behind politics, money, and fear. Montana may look peaceful, but the trailer reminds us again and again that danger doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it blends in, waiting for someone brave or foolish enough to confront it. What makes this especially suspenseful is how deeply personal every mission feels for Casey. He doesn't see criminals as faceless targets. He sees reflections of his own darkness. Men who chose violence because it was easier than facing themselves. And that recognition seems to disturb him more than the gunfights ever could. The trailer suggests that Casey understands these people in a way that scares him. There's also a growing sense that this job is slowly consuming whatever balance he had left. He's working longer, sleeping less, and pulling further away from the people who ground him. The absence of Monica becomes more painful here. Without her presence, there is nothing pulling him back toward peace. Only duty, only responsibility, only the next threat waiting in the dark. The supporting marshals begin to take shape as more than just teammates. They are mirrors, each representing a possible future for Casey. Some are still hopeful, some are clearly broken. And the trailer quietly asks a terrifying question. Which one will Casey become? The man who survives the job, or the man the job destroys? By the end of this section of the trailer, the message is unmistakable. Marshals is not about stopping crime, it's about enduring it. And for Casey Dutton, the war never ended. It just changed uniforms, locations, and rules. The battlefield is bigger now. The enemies are smarter. And the cost of failure is higher than ever. And Casey knows one thing for sure. If he lets his guard down even once, this new life will kill him faster than the old one ever could. As the trailer pushes deeper into Marshals, the story stops being about action and starts becoming something much heavier. This is where the show reveals its true heart. Casey Dutton is not framed as a hero chasing justice. He is framed as a protector, slowly being crushed by the weight of protecting everyone else. And that emotional cost is where the real danger lives. There is a quiet sadness in the way Casey moves through this new world. He follows orders, he completes missions, he does what needs to be done. But nothing about him suggests peace or satisfaction. The trailer makes it clear that Casey doesn't believe this job will save him. He believes it might simply delay the inevitable. Each case feels like another test of how much pain he can absorb before something inside him finally breaks. The idea of protection is central to this section. Casey has always protected others, whether it was his family, his land, or his people. Now, as a U.S. Marshal, that instinct is weaponized. He is sent into situations where violence is guaranteed, where lives hang in the balance, and where hesitation can mean death. The trailer suggests that while Casey is extremely capable, every act of protection takes something from him in return. One of the most unsettling elements is how calm he appears in the face of danger. Not confident, not fearless, calm. That calmness doesn't come from strength, it comes from acceptance. Casey has already made peace with the idea that this life could end him. And that acceptance makes him incredibly effective, but also incredibly vulnerable. When a man stops fearing death, the line between bravery and self-destruction becomes dangerously thin. The psychological toll of the job is emphasized again and again. Casey is not just chasing criminals. He is chasing outcomes that can never truly be good. Every arrest, every confrontation, every violent encounter leaves unanswered questions behind. Did I do the right thing? Could this have ended differently? Did someone innocent pay the price? The trailer doesn't give answers, only the growing weight of doubt etched across Casey's face. This is also where the absence of Monica becomes almost unbearable. Without her voice, without her grounding presence, Casey has no emotional anchor. The trailer never explains her disappearance, but it doesn't need to. The silence around her speaks volumes. Whether she has gone by death or distance, the effect is the same. Casey is alone in a way he has never been before. And loneliness, combined with violence, is a dangerous mix. The return of familiar figures like Tate and Thomas Rainwater reinforces the idea that Casey's old life is not fully behind him. He may wear a new badge, but his past keeps pulling at him. The land, the people, the history, and the unfinished emotional business refuse to let go. The trailer suggests that Casey is standing between two worlds, belonging fully to neither. What truly elevates the suspense is the sense that Casey's greatest enemy may not be the criminals he hunts, but the protector instinct itself. He can't turn it off, he can't walk away, and he can't stop sacrificing pieces of himself for others. The trailer frames this as both his greatest strength and his greatest weakness. By the end of this section, Marshals makes a bold promise. This will not be a story where the hero wins and goes home. This will be a story about endurance, loss, and the invisible damage carried by those who stand between order and chaos. Casey Dutton is still protecting everyone else. The question now is simple and terrifying. Who is left to protect him? By this point in the trailer, Marshall stops pretending that justice is noble. Instead, it presents justice as heavy, exhausting, and sometimes deeply unfair. Casey Dutton is no longer chasing right and wrong. He is carrying them. And the weight is starting to bend him in ways that feel irreversible. The tone becomes darker here, more suffocating. Every decision Casey makes seems to trap him further inside the role he chose. The badge is no longer a symbol of authority. It's a reminder that walking away is no longer an option. The trailer suggests that once you become the last line of defense, you stop being a person and start becoming a shield. And shields are meant to take damage. What makes this section especially powerful is how Marshals shows the emotional consequences of doing the right thing. Casey saves lives, but he doesn't celebrate it. He stops violence, but it doesn't bring relief. Instead, each victory feels hollow, because the war never truly ends. There's always another threat, another case, another moment where someone has to decide who lives and who doesn't. The criminals Casey faces are not portrayed as monsters hiding in the shadows. Many of them look ordinary, familiar, human. That's what makes it harder. The trailer leans into the idea that evil doesn't always announce itself with brutality. Sometimes it wears a calm face and waits for permission. This forces Casey into moral corners where the law offers answers, but not comfort. There's also a growing sense of tension within the Marshal unit itself. Trust is fragile. Everyone is carrying their own damage, and pressure exposes cracks fast. The trailer hints that not everyone handles the job the same way. Some grow numb, some grow reckless, and some start to question whether the system they serve is actually protecting anyone at all. Casey stands at the center of this tension, respected but emotionally distant, admired but clearly unraveling. The absence of Monica reaches a breaking point here. The trailer quietly suggests that Casey's work is directly connected to her disappearance, whether emotionally or tragically. That connection adds an unbearable layer of guilt to everything he does. Every criminal he confronts feels like another reminder of what he failed to protect. And guilt, once it settles in, doesn't fade. It sharpens. This section also reinforces the idea that Montana itself is a character in the story. Its beauty hides brutality. Its silence hides danger. The land Casey once fought to defend now feels like a place that constantly tests him. The wide open spaces don't bring freedom, they bring exposure. There's nowhere to hide from yourself when the horizon never ends. As the trailer nears its most intense moments, Casey begins to look less like a man in control and more like a man being consumed by responsibility. The protector instinct that once defined him now threatens to erase him. He keeps stepping forward, not because he believes in victory, but because stopping would mean facing everything he's been running from. By the end of this section, Marshals makes one thing painfully clear. Justice is not saving Casey Dutton. It's breaking him down piece by piece. And the longer he wears the badge, the harder it becomes to remember who he was before the violence became his purpose. The trailer leaves us with a chilling realization. If Casey keeps choosing duty over himself, this job won't just change him, it will finish him. As the trailer reaches its final moments, Marshall strips away any remaining illusion of escape. Casey Dutton has run as far as a man like him can run. There is no ranch to return to, no quiet life waiting on the other side of this job. What remains is a choice that defines the entire series. Continue carrying the burden, or finally confront what it has done to him. The closing tone is quiet, but devastating. There is no promise of redemption, no guarantee of peace. The trailer suggests that this story will not offer easy answers, because Casey's life has never allowed them. Every path forward costs something. Every decision leaves a scar. And the longer Casey serves as a marshal, the more those scars begin to overlap, until it becomes impossible to tell where the job ends and where he begins. Casey's identity is now fully fractured. He is no longer just a cowboy, a soldier, or a son of the Yellowstone. He is a man defined by response, by how he reacts when violence knocks at the door. The trailer makes it clear that he is exceptional at this work, but excellence comes at a price. The better he gets at stopping monsters, the harder it becomes to recognize himself. The idea of legacy quietly returns in these final moments. Not land, not money, not power. Legacy through survival, through the people who live because Casey stepped in front of danger. But even that feels uncertain. The trailer asks a haunting question without ever speaking it. How many lives are worth one soul? And at what point does protection become self-erasure? The supporting characters fade into the background here, not because they don't matter, but because this is Casey's reckoning. The world around him keeps moving, crimes keep happening, and violence keeps spreading. The system will go on with or without him. But Casey's ability to endure it is clearly running out. The trailer suggests that this season will push him to the edge of moral, emotional, and physical collapse. There is no dramatic speech to close things out, no heroic declaration, just a man standing in the aftermath of his choices, fully aware of what they have cost him. That restraint is what makes the ending so powerful. Marshals doesn't shout its promise. It whispers it. This is not a story about winning. It's a story about staying alive long enough to decide who you are when the fighting never stops. As the title appears, the message is clear. Casey Dutton didn't leave Yellowstone behind. He brought it with him. And when Marshals finally begins, the real question won't be who he saves. It will be whether there is anything left to save at all.